Welcome back to another episode of Caps Off by Felipe Fontes. Today is Week 11 look ahead episode. Week 11, let's buy some fantasy players. Week 11, let's sell some fantasy players.
That's
Week
right.
11, Scary Hours 3 is dropping tonight. Bing, back, boom.
Week 11, you said it all.
Yep.
Fuck.
No, there's a few more things you could say. You don't want to
Week
say?
11, Dak Prescott's the highest graded PFF quarterback under
course.
pressure. Week 11, Dak Prescott leads the league in interceptions in touchdowns over the last 4 weeks, not interceptions.
I appreciate you apologizing. That means a lot.
Big week.
Let's fucking go. Look at everyone coming in from TikTok and YouTube. What's up, Elias? Catching another live. What else we got? We got a lot of people joining from TikTok right now. Make sure to submit your trade questions. This is the Week 11 fantasy episode where we get to help you make some trades. Trade deadline is coming up next week for a lot of people, a lot of leagues, the trade deadline. So
is it next week for a lot of people?
I think it's next week
It's
for a lot of
literally
people.
today for me, so I'm trying to get my trades out right now.
Oh, that's why you were making a lot of trades this morning. Yeah. Well, hey, hopefully we can help you make a trade.
Facts.
I mean,
Maybe some of them out there.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of trade questions. What's up, Jackson? What's up, Pilecki? We got a lot of the usuals in
Let's
here
go,
today
man.
for Week 11
We love the
fantasy
squad.
episode. Again, Felipe, you made a dynasty trade this week for Bijan Robinson.
Oh my God, I gave away the whole fucking farm.
We were talking about Bijan. We've been talking about Bijan a lot. Like, why do you think Bijan Robinson is still a buy low type of candidate?
I mean, great question, first of all.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to start off with, look, I mean, you got Bijan at a premier price. You got him early in the first round, okay? So he hasn't given you that return yet, but a lot of that has come because of opportunity. You know, we've all been mad at Arthur Smith and how he's utilized him. Well, that was going to have to get fixed. Not only because Arthur Smith's job was going to be on the line. Like,
still is.
And it still is.
Yeah.
But also because, like, look, he's one of your best players. Like, if you want to actually start not just winning, but winning in a good fashion, you're going to have to give your best players the ball. So we knew that Bijan was going to trend upwards from where he was. I mean, he was pretty low. And last week we saw it for the first time. He got near, like, I think 20 fantasy points. And I think it was like 19 or something like that. And that was like the start. I don't think we've even seen close to the ceiling yet. Bijan's going to keep going up. Yeah, Bijan's going to keep going up. Now, I made a trade from him in Dynasty because I'm looking long-term, like future. I know Arthur Smith's not going to be there forever. Bijan's one of those, for whoever plays Dynasty out there, he's probably a top 5 to 6, 7 asset. So that was, I literally gave away like a lot, but a lot of my bench guys. But even in a redraft system, like if you can go get him right now,
go get him right now.
This is the time to get him. He's cheaper than he should be. And he's gonna give you RB1 numbers.
Well, the time to get him was last week, but
Yeah.
because he had another good game, and so I think that's gonna actually make it a little bit pricier. But the price is gonna keep going up, like you said. Bijan or Arthur Smith is coaching for his job. We're starting to get some questions in, so I want to start answering them. As a reminder, Week 11 look ahead episode. If you have trade questions, you have sit questions, make sure to drop them. We're gonna be doing this for I think an hour. So hopefully we can get you some solutions to all these problems. I want to scroll up because there were a ton. Gus Edwards or Jalen Warren this week? This is from Koopa on TikTok. Koopa. I think you got to go Jalen Warren personally. I think the ceiling's higher. Jalen Warren.
I would say the ceiling's definitely higher. I mean, I guess he just got named the starter for Pittsburgh. And that doesn't mean that much because I know Najee's still going to get his. Yeah. And I actually think Najee's another super buy low right now. Like, you should go get Najee. But I like Jalen probably this week. Higher floor.
Yeah. Tabs. Oh, did I say that? Tabs said bench one, Stephon Diggs, Noah Brown, Christian Kirk, Tyler Boyd. Okay, first of all, we are never questioning Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is a set it and forget
Also, why is Noah Brown in that? I know he's been balling, but like it's situational. Also, is Nico back?
He returned to practice on a limited basis yesterday.
Nico's gonna completely diminish any type of value for Noah Brown. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, I think if all four are as is, I think I lean towards benching Noah Brown solely off of the basis that Nico probably plays this week. Yeah. And I just think Tyler Boyd, no T. Higgins again, looks like a better matchup.
Agreed. Burrow and Boyd are good. And here's the thing with Noah Brown. I mean, like even if Nico's not there, I know he's been going off, but like, bro, he's so fucking hot. I mean, you're talking about a sell high candidate. You got to sell the hell out of him if you can. I'm not buying him if I'm on the other side.
Who, Nico?
No, Noah Brown.
Oh, Noah Brown.
So it's like if somebody in your league is like, yo, give me the guy who's been hot. Like, I want that consistent production. Like, please get Noah Brown.
Let's clarify this before we go into a lot more of these questions. When when we do our buy lows and sell highs, we were talking about this off the pod. I think a lot of people always have different variables as to why they're making certain trades and why they're a buy low, why they're a sell high.
Yep.
So I think it'd be helpful for you and I to explain and really quantify why people are buy lows and sell highs for us. And I think we've used it because we've talked about this, the logic with Javonte Williams and it worked out. Aaron Jones, who obviously wasn't great last week, but the usage is trending up. Tony Pollard, while he's still there. Bijan, while he's there, right? CeeDee Lamb eventually. The way we kind of quantify it for buy lows and sell highs is based off like a 3-point scale, right? So obviously the natural people, you could either be RB1, RB2, RB3/flex. Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. I guess you could be a wide receiver 4/flex because a lot of these leagues are 3 wide receivers. If a player is at a certain value right now, like for example, if a player is an RB3, the reason we would say he's a buy low is because we believe that he can get into the RB2 category. Now, whether it's high end RB2, low end RB2, doesn't necessarily matter. Can they move on the point scale to a different range, different position? That's, I think, where our buy low and sell highs kind of make more sense. So do you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. I mean, look, some guys are kind of stuck where they're at and they're not going to be any type of candidate. They're just there. Like, you're just going to hold them. But I think Tony Pollard's gotten there. I don't even think he's a buy low anymore. It's like, he just fucking sucks.
He sucks, but I also think he's still, like, you are buying him incredibly low. I think he's going to finish as an RB2, like, is my point. I don't think he's going to finish in the flex position, which is where he is right now.
Yeah, I think you very well could. And so, but some guys, like, definitely, like you said, we've been right about a lot of these guys, and CD was one that it's probably the biggest one we were right on.
Yeah.
I mean, he completely turned around from being in that kind of Tony Pollard range where it's like, oh, we got to see more, to like, okay, now we're seeing not only more, but a lot more, like best receiver in the league numbers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, totally agree with that.
All right, let's get back to some questions. As a reminder, keep submitting your trade questions or even start sits. We'll do our best to answer them. JR on TikTok said Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Jared Goff for Keenan Allen.
Give me that again.
Garrett Wilson,
yeah,
DJ Moore, and Jared Goff for Keenan Allen.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
But I would do it. Like, if you have if you're not worried about the depth, like, you can get rid of that. Then I would do it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you could sacrifice it, obviously Keenan Allen the best player there, but I do think DJ Moore's in that buy low category still. He's been good with Justin Fields.
He's gonna be better.
Although the Jets' offense has been bad and Zach Wilson's been bad, Garrett Wilson has seen the targets. The issue is, I think his ceiling is capped because he's just not going to get into the end zone.
Yeah, man, I don't give a
I don't want Garrett Wilson.
It fucking sucks because Garrett Wilson is one of the most talented receivers in the league. You could say probably top 5 most talented receivers in the league.
You can say it. I'm not going to agree with it.
He's getting there. Bro,
there's like so many people that fit into that category. There's so much talent.
But Garrett he's
up there.
One of the closest pushing that, I would say. I mean, he's definitely one of the top 10 most talented. And then, you're talking like long term. I'm a dynasty guy. Garrett Wilson is probably only after Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. And so, and maybe Stephon Diggs if you want to put him there, but the youth is great. Anyways, with Garrett Wilson, like, it just sucks. Like, I wish he could be better. Zach Wilson is so bad. I just saw a stat from Tage from Sumer Sports. We talk about his stats sometimes, big analytical guy. And it was just like EPA per play, expectations or whatever, like how good expected a quarterback points, is doing, expected points. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts is actually number 1, which is actually very impressive. And then, your usual guys, Dak Prescott, of course.
Of course, 2. Naturally.
The guy on the very far end of that is Zach Wilson. Like completely, like, it's like negative EPA. And
so you're saying Garrett Wilson's almost overperforming
it's in a way. I just don't think, like, you can have hope on Garrett Wilson. And the reason I talked about how talented he was is because I think he's one of the most talented receivers in the league. Still, Zach Wilson, I'm not going to get what I can out of it.
Yeah, I agree. Broken XUI on TikTok said, I traded Chris Olave and Tony Pollard for Jahmyr Gibbs and Hollywood Brown. Good or bad?
Tony Pollard and who?
Tony Pollard and Chris Olave for Jahmyr Gibbs and Hollywood Brown. I think it's
you won.
Yeah, I think it's pretty even. I actually do think it's pretty even because I think Hollywood was also a buy low. Gibbs has been ascending, and we saw last week what it could look like. I still would probably put Gibbs again in that sell high category because I do think he's someone that is performing well, and you could maybe even capitalize, go get in, package him with someone else, and go get an ETN potentially, and that's why I'd say sell. But I think it's pretty even, actually. I think Pollard's been bad, but could have some positive regression there. But I think your side, I lean towards your side because I think the floor is a little bit safer on your side.
Yeah,
right
I smashed. He did that, right? He traded for. Yeah. I smashed what you did. I think you killed that trade.
E-Money says Romeo Doubs or Brandon Cooks this week.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, Brandon Cooks has been hot the past few weeks. I mean, he's turned it on. Yeah. And this past week was obviously season high. He looked like vintage Brandon Cooks. You look like fucking Brandon Cooks with Drew Brees, like some crazy shit. But but we don't know if he's gonna keep that going. Romeo Dobbs either. I think I'm gonna lean with Brandon Cooks though. I think he could. He has a better chance of keeping it going than like Romeo Dobbs just having a good game. That Packers offense is weird.
I agree. I want to stay away from that Packers offense. The only person you could start, and it's still questionable, is Aaron Jones from that Packers offense, and it's likely because the running back field is so all over the place.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think I'm starting Brandon Cooks. Luis Felipe says,
hey,
Luis Felipe maybe. He's been around.
How do you spell his name?
Luis, like Louis dash Felipe.
Like my name?
Not spelled like you, but Felipe.
How's it spelled?
Phillipe.
You know, my name was supposed to be Luis Felipe. Swear to God.
Really?
Like on
so
my life.
I'm only calling. So you guys are brothers.
I guess so, yeah.
That's so adorable.
What's up? What's his question?
He said Brian Robinson and Tyler Lockett for Stephon Diggs. He has Devontae Smith, CMC, and Achane. For me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. You got to get the best player in that deal. Absolutely.
Again, I think a lot of people are probably panicking on Stephon Diggs a little bit. Hasn't been as good. Right, they think the offense is bad. Yeah, massive. Stephon Diggs, massive buy low. I think there's 2 wide receivers right now in the elite alpha wide receiver 1 category that you could realistically get. Diggs being one of them. Price is going to be a lot heftier, but you can get Diggs. The other is actually Devonta Adams. I still think he's going to be an elite wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Him and Aiden O'Connell are getting better. But to me, those are like the only 2 that you could probably buy that are for sure in that elite category of wide receivers.
Yeah, look, Diggs is going to get better. And if your trade deadline is next week, then honestly, you might even benefit. Like, I think Diggs will have a better game this week than he had last week, but he's still going to be shadowed by Sauce Gardner. So you might actually benefit waiting and making the trade next week because he might not have the best game. And then after that Jets game, he's going to go off. I guarantee you, Stephon Diggs, as Adam likes to say, regression to the mean. Stephon Diggs is going to be one of those guys that's going to be right there, top 5 receiver week over week, right after this little tough stretch is over.
Jack said, do I get Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, and Najee Harris for it looks like Taysom Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes is what I'm guessing.
You just trying to trade for the whole Steelers team?
I don't want that. No.
For who? For Kelce and who?
It looks like he's giving up Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, and Najee Harris, and giving my assumption is that it's Taysom Hill because there's no way it's Tyreek. He says Hill, Travis, and Patrick Mahomes. I think I'd prefer Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
But what league are you in that like every single person has a whole roster?
They have a roster. That's a bigger roster. Imagine if fantasy was like that. That your first few picks, you get like 3 or 2 of the guys from that team.
I kind of like that as like a rule maybe, and it's like a special league you can do. That's funny as fuck.
Derek said we're not doing that trade. I think you and I prefer the Travis Kelce Mahomes side. Mahomes, another buy low, right? Like if anyone has Patrick Mahomes questions and you need a quarterback, I think Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are the 2 quarterbacks, a very similar Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs type of situation where you can get the elite of the elites. Even though I get the quarterbacks have been fine and you could probably get away with the Kylers and the Justin Fields who are coming back. Like there are 12 wide receivers. 12 quarterbacks that are usually taken. So it's going to be tough to be able to trade for one, but Mahomes is definitely in that buy low category.
Totally.
Derek said, who's a good tight end that I could trade Kincaid and Higgins for? I have Mark Andrews as my starter.
Bro, hold up. Trade Kincaid and Andrews
who's for a good tight end that I could trade
Kelce, and that's the only thing.
But he has Mark Andrews, so why are we trading for a tight end?
I'm very confused. Look, even if you don't have Andrews, like Kincaid right now is a top 5 tight end. I don't care. Dude, it doesn't matter. He's a top 5 tight end. You're not trading Kincaid for nobody unless you're packaging him to go get like that elite. Unless it's Kelce, as far as tight ends, I'm not trading him for another tight end. Or you're getting you're pairing him with somebody else to go get fucking Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill or something like that. Like you got to go get a top-notch guy.
Keep filibustering because I'm trying to find out. I think like Dalton Kincaid, to me, I would play him at my flex. Like his floor feels pretty safe right now compared to other guys. He's had 5 receptions in multiple games. Like
you're not trading Kincaid for any other get no tight end in return other than Travis Kelce. If it's not Travis Kelce on the way back, you're not trading Kincaid. It doesn't make any sense. He has a higher floor than guys like George Kittle. Even his ceiling is higher, is just as high, maybe not just close to as high as Travis Kelce. So the only guy that really makes sense in return is Travis Kelce. But again, if you are trying to get rid of Kincaid, it shouldn't be for another tight end, or maybe like downgrade in tight end and go get like a higher, like a low end RB1 or wide receiver 1.
Kincaid over the last 3 weeks is currently the overall fantasy 31 player, right? Like I don't know how the best way to explain it because quarterbacks are in there, the overall scoring in PPR, right? Kincaid has outscored guys. Now, granted, Amon-Ra has been on a bye. Like other guys have been on a bye, so I'm not going to mention them. But he's
Buffalo not had a bye yet.
What?
Buffalo hasn't had a
bye. But he's outscored Stephon Diggs, outscored Najee Harris, outscored Ramondre Stevenson, outscored Jonathan Taylor, outscored Deontay Johnson, outscored Javonte Williams had a bye, so that doesn't help. Outscored Lamar Jackson, right? Even in fantasy over the last 3 weeks. So I think when it comes to Dalton Kincaid, you could start him as a flex. So I'm not necessarily, and you have Mark Andrews. So I'm not going to trade. I'm not going to make a trade just for the sake of making a trade. No. Jackson Thompson said, looking to trade Joe Burrow. Who should I get in return? Again, I think like Joe Burrow is someone that you would start. The only reason you're trading Joe Burrow is if you're getting Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, because I still think Joe Burrow is in that like QB 5 to 7 range. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, Burrow's gonna naturally, like, he had a bad week. He started to bounce back a little bit. What do you like? His trade was Burrow for like, what do you want to do?
He just said, who can I get for Joe Burrow?
You could probably. It's tough. I don't think anybody's looking to trade for Burrow. He's QB 17. I think you said the other day. Good memory.
Go sleep.
Thank you. And so I don't know, man. Like look around. Maybe somebody in the league needs a quarterback. Then again, they probably get similar production from somebody off the waivers as Joe currently. And I don't know. Maybe try to get a flex guy if you already have another quarterback.
Beezy Boy on TikTok has been commenting a fuck ton of times, so I want to make sure we can show him some love. He said, with Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams on bye in week 13, who should I try to get as an upgrade from Ramondre Stevenson? Interesting framing.
Yeah, I don't understand. Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams, he has both of them.
He has two of them. He has both of them on bye, so he's trying to obviously figure out as an upgrade over Ramondre. I think Ramondre's also one of those buy lows. I don't think he's going to be like. I don't think he's reached his full form. I think they've been bad, and there are better days ahead for the Patriots. So I don't know if I'm necessarily going to move Ramondre Stevenson just yet. I think there's not many running backs that I'm like sitting there being like, I got to go trade for this guy at all costs. Bijan was obviously one of them.
Yeah.
Achane might be another, just considering. But even the fear with Achane is that, like, we saw 3 weeks of sample size with him, right? Like, I also saw a crazy stat that I was looking this up. Overall on the year, or I'll say week 2 in full PPR. Obviously, where do you think Devon Achane is in terms of overall running backs since week 3 on the year?
Since week 3?
Yeah.
I would say it's a great question. I would say like
that was his first week.
18.
So Devon Achane, this is a crazy fantasy stat. This is absurd. Devon Achane is currently running back 13.
That's crazy.
Since week 3 and has missed 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
Yeah, because he scored. What did he score in that like 3 weeks?
He had 51, 27, and 22.
Yeah, he went off, man. So he's cheap as. I mean, well, he's about to come back, so
he's got Achane and Eckler. This guy, Beastie Boy's got Achane and Eckler, so you don't need to make a deal. You're fine. Your team is loaded. Yeah, I want to look at YouTube right now. MK5EW, been a big supporter of the pod, said, should I start Tua or Joe Burrow? I think you got to go Tua. He has cornrows now.
Well, the cornrows actually make me want to go with Joe Burrow, but
a tough defense going against.
Yeah, he's going against the Ravens. He's going against the Ravens, but Tua is he's a top guy this year, man. Like, not just as a quarterback in general, but fantasy wise, like, it's just the weapons he's just loaded with weapons. Mike McDaniel knows how to like set this up for him to help him score. I mean, Tua,
he's also efficient. He's been efficient, right? Like, he's
not going to turn the ball over, really.
Yeah, and even if he does, like, he should, like, Tua's like major game that you're going to get. You know what you're going to get: 2 touchdowns and an INT probably out of him.
Yeah, like he's like no Dak Prescott or nothing, but he be doing his thing though.
And he's got talent. Dak's been crazy. Dylan Fink on YouTube says he got an offer: trade Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, James Cook for Travis Kelce and Josh Jacobs. My 12-team full PPR. He has CJ Stroud.
I'm not doing it.
Okay. Talk to me. Why are you not doing it? But his running backs are Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, James Cook, Khalil Herbert, Kareem Hunt, Tajay Spears. His receivers are Stephon Diggs, Ayuk, Hollywood Brown, Jaden Reed.
Okay, that was a lot.
I'm doing it.
Can you go back over the trade again?
So he's going to give away Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, and James Cook for Travis Kelce and Josh Jacobs.
Look,
I'm doing it. I'll be honest.
Okay, all right, I'll break mine down and I'll let you go. But Kelce's the best tight end in the league, no question. And fantasy wise, he's dominant, no question. But Andrews is that good too. He's a top 3-ish tight end. So I don't think the drop off there is too big. And then Joe Mixon, I would much rather have over Josh Jacobs. And
I don't agree.
Mixon, I think, like, every single week he's pretty much getting into the end zone. Like, I have a good feeling about that, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those situations where, like, how much faith do you have in the offense in Las Vegas? Like, he just
None.
is like they both have the lion's share of the workload. They're both getting a ton of touches.
Yeah.
I think Josh Jacobs is a better running back, and I think there's less mouths to feed there than there are in Cincinnati when T. Higgins comes back. So the other part to it is like I prefer Travis Kelce to Mark Andrews. I think he'll be more consistent, better days ahead.
I do too.
There's a great position. The other part to me is like you don't need all these running backs. You're not going to play it. So technically, Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, and James Cook are your like 3 running backs. Like I would rather have someone that plays more into the set it and forget it. And I feel like Josh Jacobs does. Joe Mixon, you're going to start as well, but I don't mind that trade personally.
Jacobs has been so bad this year, man.
Over the last couple of weeks, he hasn't been that bad.
Turned it up a little bit lately.
Since week 8.
My only thought, like the reason I say no is because I just don't think it makes
since week 8. Sorry,
okay,
he's been RB6. He's had 17, 22, and 13. He's been consistent. The floor is coming back. I think Josh Jacobs is a guy that, like, now in fairness, Joe Mixon has been RB7 over these last 3 weeks as well. So I think that's a good, like, to put them next to each other. He only has 1 more point than him. I just prefer Travis Kelce.
I feel you. Look, man, I think it's close. I wouldn't do it. You would do it, but I understand why you would do it. I think it's a close trade. If you think it makes your team better, sometimes you got to go with your gut.
The fear is James Cook for me. James Cook is a guy.
I don't give a fuck about James Cook.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
So that's why.
I'm looking at the other guys, and I get where you're going. You think like the positional advantage for Kelce over Andrews, that pushes it to the edge of that trade. So I get that. Yeah.
Alex Graciani, friend of the pod, of course, says, should I trade Tank Dell and Chris Godwin for DJ Moore?
Nah.
I wouldn't.
Nah, don't do that.
I think you can get more if you're trading Tank. I'll be honest. I think the way he's been, if you package Tank with someone else, I think DJ Moore is still a low-end wide receiver 1 for me. I think he'll finish as the low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 that he is. The problem with it is that, like, Tank has been good as well. And, like, I don't trust Chris Godwin. But Chris Godwin also can put up points.
I agree. I don't think you're getting I think you're giving away too much. Too much for DJ Moore, who I think is going to bounce back, and I think he's a buy low right now. But he's a buy low. Like, you're giving up too much for that guy who also could dud any single week. So with these guys, Tank Dell and who's the other
guy? Chris Godwin.
Yeah, Chris Godwin. They could both have dud weeks, but so could DJ Moore. So they all kind of have like a low floor on occasion, and they all can pop. So I think you're giving away 2 guys that can pop for 1 guy that can pop. It doesn't make sense to me.
Seth DeVore on YouTube said, trade Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers for Cooper Kupp. He has Bijan, Rashad White, Kareem Hunt, and Darrell Henderson. Yeah, I'm doing that. I think Cooper Kupp's a major buy low.
Oh, hold on. So he has Bijan, Rashad White. Who else?
He's Bijan, Rashad White, Kareem Hunt, and Darrell Henderson. Look, he's going to start like.
Okay. And then the trade is
Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. We don't know his receivers.
No, we don't know his receivers.
Yeah,
but I think I'm still doing that.
It's one of those where, like, look, you don't want to trade Derrick Henry. Like, you like the depth you have at running back, which you still have, even if you get rid of Henry. But you don't need all those guys. So in a vacuum, if like somebody heard that, they'd be like, "Oh no, don't do that." But like considering your team and the depth you already have at running back, you could probably do that. And it's something similar like what I did with Bijan. Like in a vacuum, somebody hears the trade I did where I gave up a lot. They're like, "Yo, you gave up way too much." But the guys I wasn't starting most of the time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, does it make your top line better? Does it make your team overall? Does it raise the ceiling? If it does, like it seems like it does for you, then I would do that.
Yeah, I think Cooper Kupp's a major buy low. Like, let's clarify that. Cooper Kupp's had 2 bad weeks.
But I would say Derrick Henry's also a buy low.
Agree.
Very buy low.
Who has a better chance of finishing higher in their position? I think it's Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp can finish out the year as that high-end wide receiver 1. Derrick Henry, I think, is going to teeter between a low-end RB1 because of usage and like a high-end RB2.
He has a very favorable schedule coming forward.
Always.
Yeah.
But I just think I can't rely on Zay Flowers. So my guess is that he needs a wide receiver.
Agreed.
I think
Let's go Kupp.
Cooper Kupp also, those 2 bad weeks. It was like Brett Rippon and fucking like I don't even know who they started last week or
I forgot his name.
Yeah. So for me, I think better days are ahead for Cooper Kupp, and he looks healthy. Like he looks completely fine.
Dog, man.
I want to switch back over to TikTok. A lot of trade questions coming in on TikTok, so make sure. As a reminder, this is our Week 11 look ahead episode where we're looking at guys that we can trade for. Who should we start this week? Who should we bench? Yada yada yada. Next week is the trade deadline. So, or in your case, it's today.
Yep.
So make sure to submit your trade questions. We'll help you hopefully get that last minute deal done so that we can make a push. Ethan says, what is Jordan Addison's trade value going into Week 11 with Josh Dobbs at the QB position?
That's a good question. You know, they've had some changes there. So a lot of those skill players have fluctuated in terms of value. His value went higher. Well, it dropped when Cousins got hurt. Went back up when Dobbs got there. So in terms of the value, I mean, you're looking at what Addison, like a wide receiver 2, essentially.
And he's been consistent.
So if you need like more depth at running back, I would be looking at getting like a low or a high end running back 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I actually think the framing of your question should change from because of Josh, like what's his value with Josh Dobbs, as what's his value when Jettis comes back.
Yeah,
because that I think will hurt more than Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is going to be serviceable no matter what. So I think the way you look at it is like I think Jordan Addison's value is very much in that wide receiver 2 space. He's been super consistent. I think his production looks better than his actual value, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think you can definitely flip Jordan Addison for it with someone and potentially go get a high-end running back. I think there's actually a chance there, considering what if you're in a full PPR league, what his points kind of look like. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Cody Thurlow says, do I trade Rachaad White and Jacoby Myers for DeAndre Swift if I already have Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown?
So wait, who is it?
So he's trading Rachaad White and Jacoby Myers for DeAndre Swift. He already has Jalen Hurts. So he's trying to trade for the Eagles. He's just all in Eagles.
Oh, I was wondering what Jalen Hurts has to do with it, but I get it. He's trying to do the QB receiver stack. Yeah, I would do it. Or it's not QB receiver, QB running back stack. I think Swift is a good running back to have going forward. He's a buy low right now.
He's definitely a buy low, but Rachaad White's also the RB2 since week 8. And trending up. Volume's been there. I'm not doing it personally. Because again, I think they're going to finish in a very similar category, right? So if Rachaad White is, let's go back to our buy low, sell high scale that we keep going back to and we keep talking about. He's an RB1. I think DeAndre Swift is probably low end RB1. I think they both finish like around the same spot.
That's fair.
Right. So I don't know if I would, but if you want full egos, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Jacoby Myers' value is running low. Mena Mori says Devon Achane for Kenneth Walker, Thielen, and Cortland Sutton. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. That's whoever's trading for Achane, and that's in this scenario. Like, I don't think they've watched too much football or just don't know what fantasy is.
Golly, that'd be a
That's a hole, bro. That's a hole and a half. Achane's good, but come on, man. For those 3 guys,
Tyler Vogt on TikTok says he just traded Justin Fields, Chris Olave, and Deontay Johnson for Puka, Pittman, and Goddard. Did I win? So my guess is he already had a quarterback. He had another quarterback. That's the only explanation for it.
Puka, Pittman, and Goddard is who he got?
Yeah.
And he traded who?
Fields, Olave, Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, you won that. Hopefully you have another quarterback, but yeah, you won that in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Puka's going to be okay. Yeah, I would say you slightly won. I actually think it's pretty close, depending on who your quarterback is.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Selliot on TikTok says trade Javonte Williams for Dalton Kincaid and James Cook. He has Kyle Pitts, Michael Thomas, and Brees and Alvin Kamara. Logan Thomas, because he put it next to Kyle Pitts. He needs a tight end. He definitely needs a tight end. However, Javonte Williams for Dalton Kincaid and James Cook.
Man, James isn't going to get you that type of production, though.
Javonte's trending up, man.
Javonte is.
Javonte's usage has been trending up.
He has Logan Thomas, that tight end right now.
The tight ends definitely worry me. The tight end.
There's got to be somebody on waivers, man, that you could potentially go get. You probably missed out on Trey McBride. I'm sorry. You should have. You were listening like 4 weeks ago. We were talking about Trey McBride before he really ever popped. There's got to be somebody on waivers that you could. I don't think I would do that.
I think I want to actually keep Javonte Williams because
I love Javonte right now.
I love Javonte. Brees has been great. I'm actually trying to trade Javonte, but the only person I'm trying to trade Javonte for is either Josh Jacobs or Travis Etienne. 2 guys that I just know are going to finish like in that top 7 range. Javonte is still trending up, but I don't know just yet. The reason I don't is because Brees Hall has been like, I get it. Brees Hall as of right now is a better running back than he is fantasy running back. And that's because of Zach Wilson. If Aaron Rodgers was there, he'd be a top 5 running back. And he's still been good.
Yeah.
But he's not finding the end zone. The offense can't move the ball.
Yeah.
So I think Brees is he's your ceiling player, whereas Kamara and Javonte are going to give you a floor. So I'd rather stay away from Kincaid. And I just don't want James Cook because I think Leonard Fournette, they're going to activate him eventually. Like, he fumbled a ton. And then they put in Latavius Murray. I think he's going to get chances, but that leash is running thin. So I'm not necessarily doing that. Kinda decent 68. I think that's kind of decent. Wow, I'm a fucking idiot.
It's all good.
Joe Burrow or Sam Howell, week 11.
Sam Howell.
I think so. I think
I'm going Sam Howell like probably most weeks over Burrow, regardless. But Burrow plays the Ravens defense, who's one of the top 3 or 4 defenses in the league. They play real good against the pass, against the run, everything. And Sam Howell's playing against the Giants. The Giants are terrible. You saw what Dak did to him last week. Dak's been on a heater, I know, but he's also played bad games against good defenses. So the fact that he tore up the Giants defense, I think Howell's going to do the same. The one thing we know about Washington, they're going to throw the ball. And Howell's going to get his, man. Is he still riding that streak of over 300 passing yards?
I don't know.
He was doing it for a while. Like, he might have fallen off this past week. He'll be right back on it against the Giants. They suck, man. They suck.
I agree. I also think like Sam Howell, just like Joe's been good, but he's lacked consistency. And I think Sam Howell is like has shown a ceiling that Joe Burrow hasn't shown all year. Now we know it exists for Joe Burrow, but he hasn't shown that, right?
Yeah.
And you're no T. Higgins, and also going up against a tough defense. I think you got to go Sam Howell.
Yep.
It's a good question. Brady2306 on TikTok says, what to do with Raheem Mostert and Kenneth Walker?
Okay. I mean, okay, let's just ask them each individually.
Start with Mostert. Raheem Mostert.
Raheem, Achan's back. And Raheem was still doing his thing with Achan, so you can't forget that. But I got rid of Mostert a couple weeks ago too. And the reason being is that his value is sky high. And it was at that time, especially when Achan wasn't going to be here for a few weeks. And the one thing about Achan is that he's never been able to stay healthy his whole career. And he's 31 years old. So it's,
you mean Mostert.
Oh, my bad, Mostert. And never been able to stay healthy for a whole season. And he's 31 years old. So naturally, you know, it's you could see an injury coming along. So something along those lines, I would kind of, I would see what I could sell Mostert for. But you've said it time and time again, people are kind of aware of those things as well. So they're not really buying Mostert either. And the other guy is
Kenneth Walker.
Look, Charbonnet's getting more of a workload, but Walker's still that guy, man. Yeah. He's still making the most of his carries. He's still getting his touches. I don't think Charbonnet's ever going to get much more than 50% of the touches.
I don't think he's ever going to get more than Kenneth Walker.
I think he's gotten. There's been a couple weeks where he's gotten more touches,
but it was injuries. Like there were a lot of more variables there. I don't think like if both are healthy, they're going to get Charbonnet is going to be the guy. Kenneth Walker has shown no reason to not touch the ball. You know,
yeah, Charbonnet is going to be the guy in the receiving game always. But look, Kenneth Walker when he gets the ball, and rushes, like he's that guy. So I like Walker a lot. I still think he's a top 5 running back right now, fantasy wise, even with Charbonnet kind of ascending. And then Mostert, I would.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it. The one thing I'd add to Raheem Mostert is that like most people are going to probably be panicking because Achan is there.
Yeah.
Like Mostert's going to be, no matter what, Mostert is going to be an RB2, someone you could put in your lineup. He's going to get touches as long as he's healthy. I understand the injuries. If you have Kenneth Walker and Raheem Mostert, your team is okay.
Yeah,
right? You're not in a bad position.
No, you're totally fine if you hold on to these guys and they start for you for the rest of the season. They probably will. They probably will start the rest of the season for you. So you're not tripping about that. I'm just saying like Walker's going to have higher value.
Gavin on TikTok says, did I win? I shipped Lamar Jackson and Aaron Jones, and I got Mahomes and Achan.
Yeah, you won.
Yeah, you won.
You won easily, bro.
Again, I think it's so funny because Aaron Jones, the touches that he was getting for like 2 out of these last 3 weeks are very similar to what Achan was getting. I don't think Achan will ever see a shit ton of touches. I don't. But what we know Achan can do with his touches is take it to the house. And Aaron Jones has not shown that. I also want the person on the better offense, and I think Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson right now in fantasy. Lamar just hasn't been good. I know Lamar is better, but Mahomes, I feel more confident that Mahomes is going to get me the 20 points than Lamar, only because, and it's not Lamar's fault, only because of either how dominant they've been or the way Todd Monken's been running that offense.
Man, it's strange, right? Because, and I think we should talk a little bit about Lamar because, like, a lot of people have Lamar. Obviously, you drafted him as the 3rd or 4th quarterback. And he's been bad these past few weeks, but I believe he's still QB5 or something along those lines, which is insane, which shows you what he was doing early on. Positive regression. There we go. He's naturally gonna have to go up, and I think he actually has a big game against the Bengals tonight. He's gonna have to, and he steps up in big games. Yeah. That's one thing Lamar has done.
I like the trade. I'll say that. I like Mahomes, Lamar and Mahomes. You can consider a wash. And I prefer Achan to Aaron Jones right now. I think that's like,
all right, my bad, bro. I was just going in on Lamar.
No. I agree with you. I think Lamar. Look, we started this pod by saying they're buy lows.
Yeah, I think Achan is much better than Aaron Jones. I would much rather have Achan than Aaron Jones, especially because of the one's on a terrible offense, one's on a great offense.
Dude, if you give Achan 20 touches or what allowed for him to have 15 carries a game, which I don't think will happen. The guy is a top 5 running back in fantasy.
Totally.
It's just the way it happens. Would you trade Kenneth Walker for Isaiah Pacheco?
Nah, I would not. That doesn't make sense. I mean, like, if you're going to trade a guy like Kenneth Walker, I'm assuming you need receiver help. Like, you're trading for another positional need. You're not going to trade him for another running back, much less another running back that's probably worse than him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either. I prefer Kenneth Walker. I get Pacheco's a buy low, but
he's a buy low, but you're not giving Walker. So look, if it's something like that, right? Like if I'm giving up, if it's Kenneth Walker for Isaiah Pacheco, I want somebody else on that Pacheco side. So maybe a wide receiver 3, maybe a Josh Downs, right? A flex guy like that who's going to come in and I can actually start him. But I'm just saying Kenneth Walker's value is much higher than Pacheco's.
If you're just joining us, shout out all the people joining us on TikTok right now. This is our week 11 look ahead episode where Felipe and I are going through buy low, sell high. A lot of people's trade deadlines are coming up. It's either today if you're Felipe or next week or 2 weeks after. So within these 3-week windows, depending on your league, your trade deadline is coming up. So if you have any trade questions, make sure to submit them below. We're doing our best to answer them. We're trying to get to as many as possible. So submit them, or if you're on YouTube, please submit them. We're going to get to them and try and help you win not only this week, but go win your league. Scott Sire, this is a good question because this is the thought process I think most people need in fantasy. Should I give Austin Eckler for Josh Allen and DeAndre Swift? I need a quarterback bad. I would do that. I'll be honest.
Who was the guy he's giving up?
He's giving up Austin Eckler and getting back Josh Allen and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I would do that. Allen's going to bounce back, and regardless, he has a floor because of his rushing, and he has so much volume passing the ball, and then Swift is going to trend upwards now too. I would do it.
Here's a good question. I agree. I think you should. It's the type of like trade I think in fantasy that most people don't really do as much because a lot of people want to really be heavily favored in one side. And I think if that guy has another quarterback, yeah, it makes sense. Like Austin Eckler better than DeAndre Swift. So what you do is you trade your better running back. I actually think you clear this trade because Josh Allen, he's QB1 in fantasy this year and still had a bad game last week. And DeAndre Swift's still going to be a top 12 running back moving forward. I'm not worried about that. Here's a good question. It's about collusion. He said a dad and son in my league traded Kelsey and Shaheed for DeAndre Hopkins and Njoku. Is this collusion?
Kelsey and Shaheed for
D-Hop and David Njoku.
Based off of production, yes, but I could understand why. I'll go against the collusion in this sense. Like historically, if we're talking about the past few years, D-Hop has had as big a name as Travis Kelce. So maybe they're just not as big of football heads and have been seeing what's going on. I don't even know how DeAndre Hopkins has really been doing lately.
He's been okay.
He's been all right.
He's been good.
I would say it's not. I wouldn't go as far as to say collusion, but they're probably still kind of riding the high of DeAndre Hopkins, like prime, which was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think DeAndre Hopkins can be a top 30 wide receiver rest of the season. But I think the question is more so it's a father and son. Look, here, I don't know the details, so I can't say that. But here's what I'll say about collusion in fantasy. You can't claim collusion unless there's actual visual proof that someone coerced someone into doing it, or there was an injury that someone knew about. The injury came out before, and then they tried to trade him. Like, collusion only occurs when there's like literal, tangible evidence as to like you blatantly tried to hurt that person, right? Or they didn't know, right? Or you wanted to like try and get one team better than the other.
Collusion is when both guys are actually working in tandem.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is like you're
saying
there's multiple ways to look at collusion for me personally, and I think collusion, yes, for the most part, is someone trying to. People working in tandem to
which I did in my league this year because I auto drafted. I haven't paid any attention. And Gio, actually, one of the guys in my league came up to me and he was like, "Hey, dude, just give me your whole team." And I was like, "I don't give a fuck."
But then, because I think most people in fantasy are able to make these trades. Like, if you're going to make a trade, just because you don't like a trade doesn't mean you can't call it collusion. Is my point. You can't just veto a trade because you don't like them. So unless there's tangible evidence as to collusion, like text messages or injuries, you can't really say like. Yeah. This person colluded against, another, even if it is a father and son.
Yeah,
and who gives a shit?
And I don't think that trade is like my whole point was like, I don't think it's that crazy to say collusion, even though obviously one side won. If they're not as informed on what's been going on lately, I could see why they would fall for that.
Malu on TikTok said, should I trade Travis Etienne for Mark Andrews? I lost
Travis Etienne for Mark Andrews?
There might have been something else to it. I just lost it. We're going to put it up on screen. See if we can find it. Hold on, because I think there was Malu. Should I trade ETN for Mark Andrews? I have running back depth. No, I'm not doing that at all.
You're not getting a fair trade, man. You're not getting something in return. I understand you need tight ends, but there's got to be somebody else you could trade, or maybe a pair of guys that are worse that you could trade for Mark Andrews. I wouldn't do that.
Let's see. Here, Bob Weston 10 on TikTok said, Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, Tony Pollard, and Achane start 3.
Oh, I thought you were going to trade all those guys. I'm like, bro, you getting rid of your whole fucking backfield? All right, we're starting 3 here.
It's easy. I know what you're
Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, Tony Pollard, and who?
Achane. I know what you're going to do.
You're
going to do Mitchell, Tony Pollard, and Achane.
Start 3.
Start 3.
Oh, okay. I thought it was start 2. Then I was actually thinking between Pollard and Mitchell at this point. But if it's 3, then yeah.
Yeah, you're going to do that. We both prefer Keaton Mitchell.
What if it's 2? Let's make it more fun. Are you still starting Pollard? The easy route is start Pollard.
Yes, I am.
You're definitely starting the last guy.
Because I would make the argument that Tony Pollard's like,
even
I don't know. I don't know what Tony Pollard's going to do, but I also don't know if it's going to be Keaton or Gus Edwards. I think Keaton, like, we'll see tonight, right? You and I had this discussion off the pod. Do I start Keaton Mitchell? I'm starting Ty Chandler in a league over Keaton Mitchell. Now, granted, Keaton Mitchell's exciting. John Harbaugh said they want to give him the ball more. I need 3 weeks to see like consistency. So if he actually gets more touches and does some work with those touches, then yes, I think moving forward, you'll probably have to start him. I don't think there's a scenario where Keaton Mitchell is going to be started over Achane, though, is what I'll say.
Fuck no.
Keaton Mitchell, here's another one with 2 of the same players. Katan on TikTok said Keaton Mitchell, Devon Achane, or Garrett Wilson at the flex.
Achane. You got to go Achane. Wilson, I love. Look, like I said, talented as fuck. If he had Aaron Rodgers, it would be him every week. He'd be your starting wide receiver 1, but he's not. I'm going Achane.
This one said, Adam Dahir said, I have Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, and Josh Dobbs. Who should I trade to get some depth? So this is actually an interesting one because I'm in a very similar situation. In one of my leagues, I had Mahomes, Kyler, and Justin Fields. I traded for Mahomes, obviously, because Justin Fields was hurt at the time, and I picked up Kyler because I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was saying I was going to try and trade Mahomes. I think you're going to have to cut your losses. Like, I traded Justin Fields today for Josh Downs because there's too many quarterbacks in fantasy right now.
Yeah.
So objectively, where do you stand on
trading Kyler? I think everybody saw enough from Kyler to say he's back. And
so you think you can get more for Kyler than Justin Fields, probably?
Yeah, I think Justin Fields, yes, and also Justin Fields was fucking balling. And we know his ceiling. Like, Justin Fields is a top 3 quarterback at his ceiling, top 1 at his ceiling. And so I would bank on that. If I'm trying to go win a championship, I'd rather have Fields. I think Kyler has shown enough. Also, I think part of that reasoning is that Fields hasn't played for a while. So people are down on Fields, man. People have been down on Fields all year. Like, they're talking about how bad he is, all that kind of stuff, even though he was balling before he got hurt. And so I think his value is lower than Kyler's. So I would try to get like more in return for Kyler. Yes.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I would just like, the point I'm trying to make when talking about my situation is that there are more than 50. I would say there are 15 quarterbacks you can probably start in fantasy this year. And that usually doesn't happen. It's usually like 8. And so there's a few teams that need quarterbacks and are like boom or bust type-esque. The fact that Sam Howell is playable, the fact that CJ Stroud in his rookie year and then a Trevor Lawrence has dropped out means that or in Josh Dobbs means that there's probably not someone that needs a quarterback for the most part.
Yeah.
So first of all, look for the person that needs a quarterback. That might be starting Baker or anyone else. It's just, you're not going to get the equivalent value is my point. So you might have to just accept it. Cordy said, I traded ETN and Jalen Waddle for Tony Pollard, Brandon Ayuk, and Kupp. What are your thoughts on that trade? So you traded ETN and Waddle. He got back Tony Pollard, Brandon Ayuk, and Cooper Kupp.
It's close because like ETN is he's been balling. I think you won though. I think the 3 side I would rather have. Look, Tony Pollard hasn't had his ceiling by any means. We've talked about that, and I hate him at this point. It's like, it sucks. I have him on my team, and I've been starting him. But the other 2 guys, Cooper Kupp, which huge win, and then who was the other guy other than Pollard and Kupp?
Ayuk.
Ayuk's good. Ayuk's good, and he's been doing his thing with Brock Purdy this week. So even if you're not starting Ayuk every single week, he's such good insurance play if you do need him if one of your guys gets hurt. So I love that side. I like the 3-person side.
Yeah, absolutely. As a reminder, this is our Week 11 look ahead episode. So if you are just tuning in, make sure to submit your trade questions. We're going to probably go about another 5-10 minutes answering some questions before we sign off. If you are interested in more fantasy questions and or just want to watch tonight's game with us, we will be live streaming tonight's Bengals-Ravens game with BDGE, with the guys at BDGE, Nick and Tony. So I'm sure a lot of the people here have also seen BDGE's content. We love them. We are very close with them. So they'll be coming into the office. So make sure to set your reminders at 8 p.m. You can see it. The link is in our bio, both on YouTube and on TikTok. So if you want to just watch the game with us, we're going to be playing some games, talking some fantasy with them. Make sure to come back at 8 p.m. tonight for our live. We're going to be streaming the entire Bengals-Ravens game. A few more questions. Alexander Perrin said, should I trade Alvin Kamara for Achane and Puka Nacua?
Yeah. Go get Achane and Nacua for sure.
I like that. Yeah, I do like that trade. Trade David Montgomery and Chuba Hubbard for Devon Achane. That is from user 62156.
Got it. Who?
David Montgomery for Chuba Hubbard and Devon Achane.
Yeah, I would do it.
I mean, Chuba to me means nothing. There's no value there.
Achane, I'd rather have Achane than Montgomery.
I think David Montgomery safer floor, Achane higher ceiling.
Yeah, I'm shooting for the stars though.
Redmond Walsh had Saquon for Javonte Williams and Devontae Smith. Absolutely.
Hell yeah, bro. Get rid of Saquon for that. That's a whole you're getting a good ass package back.
Yeah, I agree. Trade Cody Angle. I just traded Saquon Barkley for David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, and Amari Cooper. Did I win? Absolutely.
Yes, you killed. You smashed.
Absolutely. Just looking for a few more questions. At Flex this week from Blake Dittmeyer, he said Marquise Brown, Nico Collins, Keaton Mitchell, Javonte Williams, or Ty Chandler. I know where you're going.
Marquise Brown. So you're gonna have to say that.
Hollywood Brown, Nico Collins, Keaton Mitchell, Javonte Williams, or Ty Chandler.
Out of all of those, probably Javonte Williams.
I think you have to save his floor. He's just getting usage and trending up.
Although I do like Amari Cooper. Although we don't know, he was in there, right? Amari was. We got to see what PJ Walker. I do like Cooper though.
Here's a good question. Kincaid or Laporta, who should I trade? This is from Kent Her 65.
Who should you trade? Well, Kincaid is going to have more value. Like he's been on the spot now. Like people know who he is and they know what he's capable of doing, especially with Josh Allen. And this Bills offense is going to have to they're going to have to fix themselves. So you're going to see a crazy positive regression, as Adam likes to say. Like what we said from CD, you're going to see something similar. But Dalton Kincaid's actually been balling. I would rather have Kincaid now. His value is higher as well. So Laporta, I think, is serviceable at tight end. So if you need more worth, or more value, you need to fix up some holes at receiver or running back, then maybe you can get something better with trading Kincaid. And I would be okay with Laporta.
I agree. I think the best way to play this is find the team that needs a tight end, find out if you need a running back or wide receiver, target one of their guys, and then say pick one of the tight ends. Because you'd be fine with either. So it's more so you want to give them the autonomy to feel like they're in control of the trade.
Absolutely. And then you would judge who you want back based on who they choose. If they want Kincaid, you better give me something nice. You're talking about like a high-end RB2 at least, or wide receiver 2.
I got a good question for you before we begin wrapping up our final few. RG43 on TikTok. RG43 on TikTok said Lamar or Dak Prescott
this week. You got to go Dak, man. Dak's hot. Generally, you go Lamar Jackson, but Dak has been QB1 over the past 4 weeks? One of those, he's been really high. Look, over the past 4 weeks, we talked about it before. Leads the league in touchdowns, leads the league in passing yards, leads the league in
since week 6.
And he's been QB1 since week 6.
And had a bye.
Okay, so he's absolutely been balling out. I would think he keeps this going because they're playing the Carolina Panthers. Like they're playing a bad team, man. They're one of the worst teams in the league. So you got to think he's going to do that. Lamar, I think he's going to bounce back. But the Bengals are a good team. It's a divisional game, tends to not be as high scoring. I'd go Dak Prescott.
I agree. It's a good take, man. It's a good take. Matt said Alvin Kamara, Deebo Samuel, and Laporta. Right? So you got those 3. Kamara, Deebo, and Laporta.
Yeah.
For A.J. Brown and Kyle Pitts. I already have Travis Kelce, CD, and Achane.
I would do it.
I'm doing it. Fuck
man,
it.
When you get the best player, you get one of the best receivers in the league right there. A.J. Brown, he's a league winner, some might say. I like AJ Brown's side.
I agree. All right, we're going to begin wrapping up. As a reminder, if you have any other fantasy questions or you still have a ton of trade questions, make sure to follow either one of us on Twitter. You can follow Felipe at the Felipe Fontes, I believe it is, or me at TGD Tabs. It's in the bios of a lot of our accounts. So if you hit the bios, you can find us there, or go follow the Caps Off podcast on Twitter and ask your questions there. I mean, we see it all. We can't get to everyone's questions. There's over 100 people in here.
Yeah.
As a reminder, also tonight we'll be going live 8 p.m. with BDGE. To watch the Bengals-Ravens game. So if you want to come watch the game with us, we're going to be doing some drinking games, having some fun, playing some, I think someone might be getting a tattoo tonight. I don't know.
Is Serge coming?
I don't know, but we're just going to go
It's going to be a blast, man. It's going to be a blast. Literally tune in. Obviously, we know you guys love BDGE. They're freaking huge on TikTok.
Yep.
And, I mean, come on, man. The best Thursday night game I remember.
All year, yeah.
All year.
Outside of week 1 with Lions-Chiefs.
Right, and that's always going to be a good game. But, I don't remember another Thursday night game outside of the season opener that has been this electric, bro.
Yeah.
Because you're not only talking about Ravens-Bengals, divisional matchup, but you're also talking about playoff implications. Their seasons are on the line.
Yeah.
What the Ravens can go get that 1 seed. The Bengals are fighting to stay alive in the playoff run.
What are your predictions for tonight then?
I think the Ravens win. now I'm a Ravens fan, like silent, like a quiet Ravens fan.
You have stock. Yeah, you have stock.
I do have stock. I said the Ravens would go 14-3 before the season. Do they have 3 losses now?
They do. Oh, no, I think they have 2.
2 losses?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's kind of on pace, sort of, if they don't lose many more games. I'm going with the Ravens tonight. But
7-3.
7-3. All right, they got to go undefeated for the rest of the season. They could do it. I'm going with the Ravens. But I think it's going to be a close game, and I could definitely see the Bengals winning. I know that's a horrible answer, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Bengals lose, they're almost
they have to win.
Yeah, it's a must-win for the Bengals, not a must-win for the Ravens. So because of that, I think the Bengals find a way to pull it out. They're a team that I can trust with the backs on the wall. But I also like shitting on the Bengals, and we do that on our Monday episode. So
here's what here's what's gonna happen. Well, realistically, I think the Bengals are in a better spot to win it. I think mainly because of what you said, they have more to fight for. However, Joe Burrow's been a little interception happy recently, especially at the end of games.
So is Lamar,
and so has Lamar, but they're 6-2 though, right? Or 7-2,
7-3.
Fuck. There you go. Whatever. The Bengals have been losing more. They've been playing worse objectively over this season, and so those interceptions have cost the Bengals more than the Ravens and their turnover. So, anyways, we'll see. It's gonna be fun. BDGE is gonna come here. Make sure to tune in. We're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, as a reminder, that was our week 11 look ahead episode where we tried to help you out. Hopefully you can follow us on social media. If you're new here, go check out our podcast on Apple or Spotify.
Thanks.
Our episode that came out yesterday was a good one. A lot of games we played.
Oh my God. It
some
was
crazy
incredible.
Stats, a little fraudulent or nodulent.
Dude, I have a good one already for next week.
Yeah, me too. I got a few good ones for Thanksgiving week.
Ooh.
But yeah, so hopefully we see you tonight at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, our predictions episode will come out. So if you need some help betting on any of the games, make sure to bet with FanDuel.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to thegameday.com/promotions or just go to the link in our bio, FanDuel has some of the best promos in week 11 specifically and just the best promos on the season. So make sure to go to thegameday.com/promotions or hit the link in our bio. You could get the best promos there. So our predictions episode drops tomorrow. You could tail us. I think it was plus 16,000 odds to be exact of all the games that we picked to win. Actually, it was Matan, so probably don't tail Matan's because Matan has been struggling as of late.
Yeah, true.
And then Sunday, we'll be doing our pregame show. So if you like what you see tonight, because hopefully you come back at 8 p.m., then you can come back for our pregame show on Sunday where we do fantasy and we talk a lot more fantasy. So hopefully we can help you out and win you your week. This was fun. This is great. Felipe, we end every fantasy episode with one specific way. What are the words of wisdom from Felipe Fontes today?
Words of wisdom. Dak Prescott is at plus 4,000
to win the MVP.
To win the MVP. Let's go. That's 40-1, man. This guy it's insane. It's insane. He's number 1 in passing yards. He's number 1 in touchdowns. He's number 1 in QBRs. He's number 1 in everything over the past few weeks. And he's going to have the opportunity to go win games and cement himself. He's got the Eagles going forward. You got the Bills going forward. You got the Dolphins going forward.
Good, man.
He's going to do it.
It's good odds.
Put the money on Dak right now to go win MVP.
Good odds. Don't sleep, bro. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Love you all.
FanDuel
tonight.